Hello, everyone. How y'all doing tonight? I hope you are doing fabulous. I know I am. Gonna have a little church up in here. Um, I have been doing coaching and consults pretty much around the clock since I first got up. And I just finished my last one like 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Your girl is on one. Hello, Tammy. Hello, darling. Um, so what I want to talk about today is the spell, the spell that I think a majority of people are under, women are under, especially sisters. Um, and I want you to think about how many people you know that are under the spell. And they don't have to be, they could be anybody, just under the spell. And what I'm talking about is the spell of victim victimization, the spell of being the victim, the offended. Um, hey, Courtney. Um, the unjustly treated. There's a spell that's going on that is put on a lot of people, and it seems very well meaning. It seems like a good thing. The spell is, you poor thing, you've had it so hard. Um, Life has not been fair to you because of who you are, the color of your skin, your gender, whatever. Hey, Danny. And so you don't worry about being productive. Don't you worry about being productive. Don't you worry about achieving. You should just get it because it's the right thing to do, or just because you're a good person, or you think you're a good person, right? And hey, Miss Clark. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll check it. Um and it starts early, and the spell starts early, and it goes through people's whole lives. It lasts people's whole lives. And what happens when people are under this spell is they don't live well. They don't max out on life. They don't live a good life. They live why is this doing this? They live a mediocre life. They live a tragic life. They live a sad life. They live an offended life. But the spell is so strong, and in a way it's so satisfying, that most people don't want to break out of it. And hey, Miss Aaliyah, hey. And I would like to demonstrate how the spell is playing out. Okay. I'm going to show you this first. I'm going to show you this one. Hello, Feminine Alchemy. I'm going to show you this one. I don't have two monitors today. I'm going to show you this article first. Can you see that? What a drop in promotions for Black workers says about corporate efforts. Now, first things first, I don't like to say I told you so. But what did we talk about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when all this stuff was popping off and folks was cutting a fool? And in response to that, a lot of opportunities, which I think is good, a lot of opportunities opened up for Black people, especially a lot of Black women. And one of the things that I was concerned about, and I talked about a lot, was You need to be ready. You need to be ready. If you say that you are capable of doing certain things, of being in certain positions and having certain responsibilities, you need to be ready. And you're not ready. Y'all are not ready. Y'all need to get ready. And I was saying that, and I said, look, y'all need to come get in this career alchemy, learn these unspoken rules, learn what it really is, learn how to get out of your feelings so you can win. Y'all, and you like I said before, some of y'all got on it. Y'all were like, yes, Nikki, let's do this. But a lot of women, they had a lot of stink ass responses. I had to delete a lot of comments. Um, that's right, Miss Clark. Play to win. That's what I said. I said it's about playing to win. It's not about feelings and microaggressions, all this other stuff. Okay, so all these promotions started to happen. Black women were being put into high profile positions. Now, I still think that a lot of those positions were not great because they were like C-suite for DEI and things like that, or HR, or learning and development. That's not revenue generating, and it's a career killer, quite frankly. But it's not. uh, you couldn't tell nobody that, right, Danny? You nailed it. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. But how do we get here? So I'm not going to read this article yet. I'm going to read another article for you. And then we're going to come back to this. But I wanted to start with this just to give you something to think about in the back of your mind. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Yep. Yep. And I said, don't take those roles. Do not take those DEI roles. You're going to make some money for a year or two, and then they're going to, when this is not in fashion anymore, you're going to be out the door, and you will have put yourself, you will have taken yourself off of a viable leadership track, quite frankly. Okay. This is where the spell begins. This is the beginning of the spell. To shrink the learning gap, this district offers classes separated by race. Evanston, Illinois. School leaders in this college town just north of Chicago have been battling a sizable academic achievement gap between Black, Latino, and white students for decades. So, a few years ago, the school district decided to try something new at high school: classrooms voluntarily separated by race. The key word here is what, ladies? Voluntarily. And we're going to come back to that. Nearly 200 Black and Latino students at Evanston Township High School signed up this year for math classes and a writing seminar intended for students of the same race, taught by a teacher of color. These optional so-called affinity classes are designed to address the achievement gap by making students feel more comfortable in class. District leaders have said, particularly in advanced placement courses, AP class, that historically have enrolled few Black and Latino students. Our Black students are, for a lack of a better word, at the bottom consistently still, and they are being outperformed consistently, Monique Parsons, Evanston School Board Vice President, said at a November board meeting. It's not good. School districts across the country have sometimes struggled to find ways to boost the performance of Black and Latino students, who nationwide tend to enroll in fewer advanced classes and score lower on standardized tests than white students. Creating classes for students of a single race is a strategy that has been used sparingly in public K-12 education. When it does happen, it is more often in elective classes or after-school programs focused on leadership skills and creating a sense of belonging. Researchers have found some small improvements in grades and retention from such programs. Other studies have shown some improved educational outcomes, such as graduation rates for Black and Latino students taught by teachers of the same race. Public schools have also dabbled with separating students by gender with successful programs that, for instance, encourage girls to become engineers. School districts in Minneapolis, Seattle, San Francisco, and Oakland, California offer optional race specific elective courses. Federal anti discrimination laws prevent public schools from mandatorily separating students by race, but education lawyers say optional courses can comply with the law. A lot of times within our education system, Black students are expected to conform to a white standard. What is a white standard? What is a white standard? What is that? What is a white standard? That's a slick statement. That's right. That's a very slick statement. Let's keep reading. I just needed y'all to sit with that for a minute. A lot of times within our education system, Black students are expected to conform to a white standard, said Dina Luna, who leads Black student achievement initiatives in Minneapolis public schools. The district offers middle and high school students electives focused on African American history and social emotional support, taught by teachers of color. Created in 2015 for Black boys, the format has expanded to Black girls and will soon expand to Latino students. An internal study showed improved attendance for Black boys in the program in 2017 and average GPAs of 2.27 compared to 2.14 for Black males nationwide. Read it again. An internal study showed improved attendance in the program in 2017 and average GPAs of 2.27 compared with 2.14 for Black males district wide. They wrote that like it's a good thing. They wrote that like that's a good thing. In our spaces, you don't have to shed 1 ounce of yourself because everything about our space is rooted in Blackness. What does that mean? What does that mean? Max Eden, an education researcher at the conservative leaning American Enterprise Institute, said he believes affinity classes undermine the goal of the Civil Rights Act. Integration is a positive social good, he said. We want students to be colorblind and to treat each other only on the basis of who they are as human beings. Educators who have worked on race-specific equity initiatives say success depends on having broad community buy-in and effective teachers in place. Christopher Chapman, who founded a program called Kingmakers of Oakland to help Black boys, says he spends at least a year tilling the soil by building political support with community groups before launching in a new district. Kingmakers partners with the districts in San Francisco, Oakland, and Seattle to offer elective classes that support Black students. In 2019 study on the original program for Black boys offered by the Oakland Unified School District found that students who took the affinity class were slightly slightly less likely to drop out of school. The district also offers elective and advisory classes designated for Latino, Asian Pacific Islander, and Arab students, said Jerome Gordine, Director of Targeted Strategies for the district's Office of Equity. Evanston is taking the strategy one step further, offering courses for Black and Latino students in core math classes, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, and AP Calculus, as well as an English seminar. Evanston's classes for Black students are known as AXLE, an acronym for Advancing Excellence, Lifting Everyone. And those for Latino students are called ganas, from a Spanish expression that means giving it all you've got. Well, it really means winning, but whatever. Leaders in Evanston's high school district, board members and teachers declined or ignored repeated requests to comment on the courses over several months. Listen, y'all, Wall Street Journal reached out to ask about this. When a Wall Street Journal reporter arrived at a public meeting for parents of Black students, a district spokeswoman said she would cancel the meeting if the reporter didn't leave. The district superintendent, Marcus Campbell, told the student newspaper this year that the affinity classes are meant to provide a different, more familiar setting to kids who feel really anxious about being in an AP class. Evanston's 3,600 student high school is 44% white, 24% Black, 20% Hispanic, and 5% Asian. The community is a mix of wealthy families and lower income households. Equity guides many of the district's decisions, embodied in a state board goal, recognizing that racism is the most devastating factor contributing to the diminished achievement of students. ETHS will strive to eliminate the predictability of academic achievement based upon race. This is a fucking lie. Racism is not the most devastating factor. Our family situations are the most devastating factor. We're going to go there in a minute. This school year, at least 105 students are enrolled in Ghana's math courses. Another 72 are enrolled in Axel math courses and 14 in sophomore English class. The program began with a pre-calculus class for Black students in 2019. The district has not presented any analyses on whether the affinity courses have improved student outcomes. You know why? Because it hasn't. Student testimonials included a presentation Evanston teachers gave at a conference last fall, described how students feel more accepted in the classes. I feel like I represent me and not the whole Black race in this AP class, said a student who took the Axel class in 2021. It's a safe space. In AP classes that are mostly white, I feel like if I answer wrong, I am representing all Black kids. I stay quiet in those classes. A Ghana student who identified as half Latina said, I feel accepted for the first time in a long time. Who identified as half Latina. Now, she could be a straight up white girl and just say, oh, I just want to identify as a minority because I want to be special. I feel accepted for the first time in a long time. Okay. Evanston's high school prides itself on offering 36 AP courses. Around 3/4 of white students in the 11th and 12th grade enroll in AP classes, compared with 1/4 of Black students and around a third of Latino students. So 25% of Black students enroll in AP classes, and about 1/3 of Latinos do. In 2021-22, the most recent available, 80% of white AP test takers earned a score of 3 or higher, often the benchmark needed to get the college credit, compared with 61% of Latino test takers and 48% of Black test takers. Glenn Singleton, a racial equity consultant who has worked with Evanston High School for more than a decade, said race-separated classes ideally wouldn't need to exist. The goal is not having an affinity section of algebra. It's to have no disparity. Okay, so y'all read that, right? We read that together. Who did they leave out of this? They talked about white kids, Black kids, Latino kids. Who they leave out? They left out them Asians, didn't they? They left out them Asians, didn't they? Because them Asians be messing up the Asians be messing up the narrative. Okay? They don't want to give those them Asian scores. I want to go back to something. The school district decided to try something new at the high school. Classrooms voluntarily separated by race. Voluntarily. We need to talk about something, y'all. We need to talk about what's happening in this country because of this bullshit. Black kids, and it's not a bunch of Latino kids. Let me tell you why. Because they getting hip to the game and they're not gonna fall for this. You might get a few of them, but they're not gonna go for this the way we're going for it. Y'all remember KSC? She talked about becoming permanent underclass. This is how the permanent underclass happens. A voluntary separation from everybody else. Everybody else is rolling up into America right now, even with all the crazy inflation, all this crazy stuff going on. Everybody else is rolling up in here, opening businesses, buying property, doing deals, intermarrying, working together, getting money. And we are sitting over here in a corner talking about we need a safe space to do some fucking algebra and some pre-calculus. This is the spell from hell, y'all. I don't think we understand what this is doing to us. And the most interesting part about the spell is that the people who are fueling the spell are the beneficiaries of our voluntary separation. Because all this talent and beauty and energy is huddled in the corner, scared of everything, offended by everything, angry at everything. Can't nobody say nothing to your ass. Somebody try to understand, then you tell them that it ain't your job to educate them. Right? So everybody else in the 21st century is like, cool, y'all stay over there. Stay over there and work the menial jobs that y'all gonna end up working. Stay over there and we will use your life force and your energy for us. Let's go back to the other paragraph. A lot of times within our education system, Black students are expected to conform to a white standard. When I first read this, y'all, I shared it the other day on my page. When I read this, I was so furious. I literally had to calm down. Remember when the Smithsonian came out and said that being on time was racist and math was racist? Now we are in the 21st century. We are in the age of technology. Hold on. We are in the technological age. We have pending infrastructure disasters slash opportunities in this country. AI is just taking out whole swaths of the workforce. It's getting super competitive. And we think that people mean us well by saying, you poor thing, you should not be held to a white standard, whatever that is. You don't have to be on time. Don't worry about being on time. Don't worry about the math part is what really gets me, right? I have a thing about math. To me, it's extraordinarily important that children understand math. So much so I changed my children's math curriculum because I said this is not the fundamentals are not baked in enough. My kid is giving me the right answer, but if he can't tell me why he has the right answer, then he doesn't know it well enough. So I scrapped the math curriculum, pulled in a new math curriculum, and took one step back to make sure that the fundamentals were in place. It's that important because there's a domino effect of being strong in math. And you got folks talking about, well, you're not gonna have to do white math. What's white math? What's being held to a white standard? What's being held to an Asian standard? What's being held to a black standard? What are they saying when they say this? A lot of times within our education system, black students are expected to conform to a white standard. Do y'all see why I pulled my kids? I said my kids will never go to a public school ever. I don't give a damn what I have to do. Because they will look at your child in the face, even if you're in an excellent school system, and go, oh, don't worry about it. Now you're trying to raise a leader out here and you send them to a school and you think, well, I'm in a good school district, but they're going to grade your kid on a curve. So your kid can't be excellent even if he's trying. Thank you. They're saying that we're not capable of learning. That's right, Miss Clark. White standard is so slick, it keeps them the standard and always on top. Now, never mind that the Asians score better than the white folks. You see, that's what's tripping me out. Okay. AI is giving many people a reality check. I read an article on LinkedIn that talked about the removal of UI UX work because of AI. Yeah. Yeah. But we sit here talking about feelings. Feelings. Not doing these babies a damn favor. Oh, Black students are expected to conform to a white standard. Listen to how the paragraph closed out. An internal study, this is their study, y'all, showed improved attendance for Black boys in the program in 2017 and average GPAs of 2.227 compared with 2.14 for Black males district-wide. They are grading our children on a curve. The standard is on the fucking floor. And they got this stupid ass thing in their window. worried about the wrong thing. Want to talk to our kids about everything but the things that matter for the future. And we're so under the spell of being offended and being a victim and getting our egos massaged for all the injustices that we may or may not have experienced, that we are not prepared for the future. Children ain't prepared worth a damn. And even when some of us decide to move to a nice neighborhood and do it a little different, you still keep your baby around all the people that reinforce the spell. You rely on the school. You just blindly trust the school to be doing the right thing by your baby because it's a good school system. When you got all these hippie ass bitches in here that's gonna look at your baby and they don't have the math problem right because it's one off or two off, and they go, "Don't worry about it," and they tell them the answer, and now your kid can't do math. And the worst part about it is the gaps don't reveal themselves until later. It's so much later when the gaps are revealed. And it's so shocking. And instead of going, okay, we need to correct course with the next set of young children that are coming up. And we need to do some remediation for these kids to make sure that we can fill in those gaps for the fundamental understanding, foundational understanding. We won't do that. It's racism. It's the white standard. Meanwhile, these folks coming over from India and they're 5 shades darker than all of us. And they coming out here and they are dominating. Accent thick, look different, dress different, smell different, everything. They ain't worried about no safe space. I go to galas, tournaments, tennis tournaments, golf tournaments, all types of things. All the other races hanging out, laughing, eating, play dates, all that good stuff. Where are we? Never there. And once in a blue, if I see one of them there, they trying to beeline to the first Black person they see. Because when we're kids, this is what they telling us. Yes, Tammy, they said the ACT and the SAT is racially biased. But do y'all remember that article I shared that showed how standardized testing is actually the way out of poverty for a lot of children of color? It was for me. So they didn't want to eliminate the ACT and the SAT because it was racially biased. They wanted to eliminate it because they want to write essays to get into Ivy League schools, because I can pay somebody to teach my child how to write a certain type of essay and put the buzzwords in there to get them through and get them that offer letter. It's not for your babies, it's for theirs. Well, they graduate kids now, Miss Clark, they graduate kids now, but they're not prepared. They're just getting them out. They're just pushing them out. For those of you that are listening, Miss Clark says, this has me thinking about some of the all Black boys schools here where the graduation is in high percentages. How well or did they do in college? And I'm sure that some of those schools are great if they held those boys to a high standard. Thank you. I got a 32 on the writing portion of my ACT. I can't imagine denying my son that sense of pride. Exactly. Let's go to the next one. Well, Danny, that's why they're doing it. Upward mobility is going to become much more difficult in this country. So they got to make sure that they keep as many people out as they can. You got to knock out as much competition as you can. So they're not going to do it by saying you're too stupid to do it. Ha ha ha, inward. They're not going to do that because that will motivate you to prove that you are smart enough. What they do is they kill you with kindness. Poor little Black folks can't do math worth a damn. Can't show up on time, can't do nothing right. Y'all don't worry about it. You poor things. And we'll give you a scholarship to come to our college so we can put your face in the brochure and put you in our percentages, but your graduation rate probably won't be that high. It's usually not. They drop out. Well, they used to drop out, and now they're pushing kids through. They're just graduating those kids too because they don't want to be accused of racism. Okay. Now let's look at the original article. What a drop in promotions for Black workers says about corporate diversity efforts. A push to elevate Black men and women into management roles is losing ground in big companies. Y'all, what did I say? All right, let's do it. U.S. companies have lost momentum in promoting Black professionals into management, according to new data from McKinsey & Company. After the 2020 murder of George Floyd set off a national conversation about race, equity, and opportunity, American companies set ambitious goals for advancing Black talent in their ranks. They have made some strides in hiring and promoting more Black professionals, especially at the highest levels of the company. There are now 8 Black chief executives in the Fortune 500, compared with 4 in 2020. Yet on the critical first promotion to management, new McKinsey data now show U.S. companies are no longer elevating Black professionals at the higher rate of a couple years ago and have reverted to nearly the same promotion rates for Black staff as in 2019. The downshift suggests that as companies' focus has shifted to trimming trimming corporate budgets and getting more workers back into offices, many have gotten distracted from earlier commitments to hire and promote more people of color, human resources, and other corporate executives and consultants say. Now, let me tell you something. When the back to office, back to work stuff started, and I said, y'all, just go in 2 days a week. They're not even asking everybody to go in 5 days a week. They're just asking everybody to come in 2 days a week. Yeah, it's inconvenient sometimes, but it's good for you, especially for those of you who are just starting your career. You really need to get into the office. It's important to get that face time. There were 500 million think pieces about how it was racist to ask Black people to come to the office. I chastised several Black women that I knew and or was coaching about getting into the office. Most of them listened, but the ones that did not, every last one of them is now out of a job. Every last one of them. Let's keep reading. James D. White, the former CEO of Jamba, who now serves as board chair of Honest Company, said that promotion data confirmed that he has been hearing from Black professionals. This is up, Danny. Here you go, honey. There is really a dramatic kind of pushback and retreat that I've seen in lots of places as it relates to the focus on Black men and women in the workforce. I'm gonna stop right here. I want to say something. A dramatic kind of pushback means that something happened when those promotions occurred. And as somebody who was in corporate when that stuff occurred, I was in and out. Y'all know I had my baby, so I was consulting and coming back in to help folks and all types of stuff. Why do you think there was a dramatic kind of pushback once those promotions happened? I'm going to wait 30 seconds. I want you to write your answers, please, ladies. Why do you think there was a dramatic pushback? And I agree, there was a dramatic pushback. Yes, Danny. Okay. Yes. They realized they weren't actually qualified. Okay. Miss Clark says folks were not prepared or ready. Danny says not ready, prepared for what the roles required. Okay. Let's go deeper. When you say they weren't qualified or weren't prepared for the roles required, what do you mean by that? Do you mean they did not have the technical skills? What do you think that? Say more. And both of y'all were in my career alchemy program. So I want y'all, I would really like y'all to weigh in. Yes. Yes. Yes, Miss Clark. Yes. Lack the necessary soft skills, missing technical and soft skills, no sponsorship. Absolutely. Why? They're promoted to be pushed out. I think that in some cases, yes, but I think there was a there was a goodwill effort during that time to promote. I do think there was some goodwill efforts there. I don't think that everybody was being set up. I think so. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think a lot of people were set up. But I do think there was also a considerable amount of promoting from goodwill. It was trendy and fashionable. Okay, I'm gonna switch to something real quick, and then we're gonna come back to this article. Okay. Yeah, they were making quotas. They were making quotas. Can y'all see this book? Okay. An article came out in Fortune today talking about this book. It's not released yet, but I want to read this. The Black Ceiling: How Race Still Matters in the Elite Workplace. Now, this is my forte, y'all. A revelatory assessment of workplace inequality and high status jobs that focuses on a new explanation for pernicious problem: racial discomfort. Racial discomfort. Hmm? Look again. Let's go back to our first article that we read. A lot of times within our education system, Black students are expected to conform to a white standard. Recognizing that racism is the most devastating factor contributing to the diminished achievement of students. Marcus Campbell told the student newspaper this year that the affinity classes are meant to provide a different, more familiar setting to kids who feel really anxious about being in an AP class. Do you see this? Do you see the setup? If you can't be comfortable when you're a kid, when you're young and you're carefree, and this is the time where you make all different types of friends and you learn how to think about life and you learn how to overcome your first adversity with interpersonal dynamics as well as trying to learn. If you can't do it here because everybody's trying to protect your fucking feelings, why is everybody so surprised? Why is everybody so surprised about this? America's elite law firms, investment banks, and management consulting firms, of which I have worked in all of them, ladies, and I'm going to talk more about that, are known for grueling hours, low odds of promotion, and personnel practice that push out any employees who don't advance. And that ain't a race thing, baby. That's the game in elite firms. While most people who begin their careers in these institutions leave within several years, work there is especially different for Black professionals who exit more quickly and receive far fewer promotions than their white counterparts, hitting a Black ceiling. Sociologist and law professor Kevin Woodson knows firsthand what a life at a top law firm feels like as a Black man. Examining the experiences of more than 100 Black professionals at prestigious firms, Woodson discovers that their biggest obstacle in the workplace isn't explicit but racial discomfort or the unease Black employees feel in workplaces that are steeped in whiteness. Y'all, this language. He identifies two types of racial discomfort: social alienation, the isolation stemming from the cultural exclusion Black professionals experience in white spaces, and stigma anxiety, the trepidation they feel over the risk of discriminatory treatment. While racial discomfort is caused by America's segregated social structures, it can even exist in the absence of racial discrimination. Do you hear the insanity? Which highlights the inadequacy of the unconscious bias training now prevalent in corporate workplaces. Firms must do more than prevent discrimination, Woodson explains, outlining the steps that firms and Black professionals can take to ease the racial discomfort. You know, the steps that we can take is to grow the fuck up and realize that all human beings feel alienated and anxiety, that we have a self-imposed PTSD at this point. This is our shit. This is the shit that we have been telling each other since we were kids, sharing every disaster story that somebody, cousin, best friend, baby daddy told us 10 years ago that we don't even remember all the details to. And that's why we need to be scared to go out into the world, and we need a safe space. The biggest obstacle in the workplace isn't explicit bias, but racial discomfort. Whose problem is that? Everybody else comes in here and they figure out a way to navigate smart, slick ass comments, getting blackballed, all that. Everybody else go, hey, they being racist over. They're not gonna let me in. They're not gonna give me a job. I guess we got to go build our own company. Have y'all ever been to Gwinnett County in Georgia? You know how many Asian banks are there? You can't even open an account if you don't speak Korean or Vietnamese. So did they cry about the fact that they couldn't get loans and shit for their little businesses and their nail shops? No, no. The worst part about this, though, is that now that we have social media, this youngest generation is going to resent us for putting this program in them when they are in their 20s and 30s and they see everybody else living life, marrying, socializing, not having all these crazy ass hangups and neuroticism, intermarrying, and thriving in this new world. They are going to despise the older generations for what they have done to them. Miss Clark, this is violence. Social alienation stemming from cultural exclusion Black professionals experience in white spaces. You want to know why we experience so much exclusion? Because anytime somebody tries to talk to us, we are offended. If every time you try to strike up a friendly conversation with somebody, they accused you of being some type of ist, of offending them, or of trying to insult them, of a microaggression, would you continue to have a conversation with that person? And if 99 times out of 100 times, when you attempted to talk to that type of person, that is how they responded to you, would you continue over and over and over and over again at the risk of your job and your reputation to talk to them? I wouldn't. Stigma anxiety, the trepidation they feel over the risk of discriminatory treatment. They feel a risk, you giving yourself anxiety, and now it's everybody else's problem. Offering a new perspective on a pressing social issue, the Black Ceiling is a vital resource for leaders at preeminent firms, Black professionals and students, managers within mostly white organizations, and anyone committed to cultivating diverse workplaces. Well, you know what? He probably gonna make some money off of it, but we coming to the end of this because folks is tired. When the money's flowing and the economy is good, yeah, folks will, they'll entertain you, but now everybody worried about these bills and they ain't trying to hear that shit. Everybody's trying to keep their damn job. Everybody's trying to keep their life together. Black people ain't the only ones with problems. Need to get out of our head and get into life. In its analysis, McKinsey used promotion rates from more than 270 companies that together employ more than 10 million people. The firm adjusted the population of each group to equal size to make an apples to apples comparison of their rates of promotion. The data show that for every 100 men of all races promoted into their first management role in 2022, 54 Black women were elevated. In other words, they were promoted at about half the rate as all men. In 2021, though, the rate was nearly double that, with, listen, 96 Black women promoted for every 100 men, approaching close to a parity for a brief time. First-time promotion for Black men have also fallen, dropping to 66 promotions for every 100 men of any race elevated into a first management role in 2022. That is down from 72 Black men promoted for every 100 men in 2021. White men and women, meanwhile, were promoted at relatively high rates consistently between 2019 and 2022. Corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts have also become have also become the subject of debate and cost cutting, as some employees complain that merit alone, not diversity goals, should be used to hire and promote people. And I agree with that, because I was managing a project and there were some people who were hired and they were not ready for those roles. And they were nice, but they weren't ready. And at that level, you need to be ready, because I'm not babysitting your ass. All right? Come in here and do this work. If you are borderline committed, that is, to diversity efforts, you just kind of exhaled and retreated, said Michael Bush, CEO of a Great Place to Work, a research and consulting firm, citing culture audits based on questionnaires that his firm receives from the top quartile at surveys every year. The series of questions probes each company's core values and qualities that elicit trust, pride, and fun. Trust, pride, and fun. That's not a company's job, y'all. I'm sorry, it's not. Do your work. Let's be respectful. Let's get paid. And don't get me wrong, you can have fun. You can make friends. I've made lots of friends at work. I've made a few lifelong friends at work. I've made some great associates at work for a season. And so you can have fun, but that's not the company's job to make it fun for you. Just after Floyd's death in May 2020, top firms said they were focused heavily on equity, recruitment, and promotions for Black men and women. The audit showed. More recent audits find most of the top 25 companies have stopped making diversity a priority. I want y'all to go back when you have some time and watch my video, An Exceptional Woman Prepares for Her Future. It's when Elon Musk had first purchased Twitter. And there was that all hands meeting that was leaked. And I did a breakdown of that meeting. And I told you, because he is, no matter what people say and how much they don't like him, he is a trendsetter in business. And when he said, look, everybody's diverse, come do this work, I said, baby, there it is right there. Y'all can go back and watch it. When he said that, I knew that diversity stuff, that train, look, get your money while you can, because that gravy train is about to dry up. The power of promotion. The first promotion from an entry-level role into the ranks of management can set a person's earning trajectory for years to come. Getting left behind in promotions early on also delays future promotions, making it that much harder for Black professionals to eventually ascend to senior roles. We start everything later, though. We do everything later. We learn everything later. And so it's because of our own, a lot of it is, and I'm not saying that nobody ever is discriminated against. Of course, there is some discrimination. Human beings are tribal. We ain't the only ones that's dealing with discrimination, though, especially nowadays. What I am saying, though, is one of the reasons that we get left behind is because we're so slow. We want to get 50 million opinions and overanalyze everything to hell and still don't want to do nothing. We want to guarantee that something is going to work. We don't want to take chances. We don't want to take professional chances. We don't want to take business chances. So that makes it harder for you to advance at the same rate that a lot of other people do. For companies, fewer first step promotions for Black employees weakens the overall pipeline of future leaders, human resources, and other corporate executives say. Other research, including McKinsey's, has shown a lack of advancement opportunities is one of the biggest reasons Black workers leave jobs at higher rates than white employees do. The reason that more Black workers don't have advancement opportunities is because we are not in the roles that have a career track, a clear career track and path. You can't get support working from the call center. You can get up to call center manager, I suppose. But we don't have a strategy in our career. I've been hollering about having a career strategy for years, and people, I don't need all that. Anybody trying to do that? All right. When we were paying attention, particularly to the advancement of Black men and women, we were doing better. Lorena Yee, a senior partner at McKinsey who co-wrote the study, said of businesses' diversity efforts. Bosses have recently faced skepticism from some workers about the aims of diversity initiatives, as well as criticism from politicians. By the spring of this year, company executives dialed down their use of certain terms in earnings calls, including diversity, equity, and inclusion, and DEI by about a third. Well, ain't nobody trying to hear that. Because people getting laid off, bonuses getting cut. We ain't talking about no feelings. We're not promoting on favor. Higher up the chain, higher up the corporate ladder, the picture is more mixed. In 2022, listen, Black women were promoted to the executive rates at a higher rate than all men. Read it again. This was the opportunity. Black women were promoted to the executive ranks at a higher rate than all men. Now, if we had strategy, good mentorship, an open mind, and wasn't looking to be offended all the time, that could have worked beautifully in our favor. We'll keep going. For every 100 men promoted into the C-suite, 132 Black women were elevated to those roles, up from 88 Black women promoted for every 100 in 2021. That's amazing, y'all. Black women's promotion rate into the C-suite for 2022 was higher than Black men, and white women. Promotion into the C-suite for Black men in 2022 declined to 74 for every 100 men, down from 130 Black men for every 100 men in 2021. Oh, let me go back real quick. So one of the theories I have is that the promotion rates were very high for Black women because A, some of us damn sure deserved it. But B, the level of visibility, having a double minority, a Black person and a woman, would give you also a really high ESG score. So it wasn't because you were so great, it's because that ESG money was coming in, baby. Do y'all know about ESG? And I got to go to bed. I can't do ESG tonight. They don't care if they put you in the role and you burn out in 18 months and have a nervous breakdown and get locked out. Anyway, overall Black representation at the C-suite level has been steadily rising since 2020, although still far behind that of white professionals. 3 Black executives were tapped to lead Fortune 500 companies. So at TIAA, Tia Kreff, which is a financial services firm, Curate Retail, and Walgreens. And she's already stepped down. Rosalind Brewer has already stepped down from Walgreens, and they have a lot of turmoil going on right now. In 2022, Franklin Clyburn was tapped to lead international flavors and fragrances, and Calvin Butler took the helm at Exelon. This year, Christopher Womack took over at Southern Company, while Tony Towns Whitley became CEO of Science Applications International. Still, the rising trend of Black CEOs might be disguising a problem lower down the ladder. Of course it is. Okay, we're almost done, and then I'm going to read your comments. Leaky bucket. Since 2020, companies have been focused more on recruiting new hires than retaining, training, and promoting existing employees, said Joelle Emerson. Um, Organizations are filling a leaky bucket. They're bringing more people in, but those folks are not staying as long and certainly don't tend to get it promoted as quickly. Of 148 companies that Paradigm has worked with this year, a third track promotion rates by race and ethnicity. Emerson says if we aren't even measuring things, we have very little hope of addressing gaps. The Supreme Court's recent decision to ban affirmative action in college admissions is making chief human resources officers nervous about tracking promotion rates by race, citing legal risk. And that's coming up next. So that's where we are. That's where voluntary separation and segregation gets us. It gets us at the Black ceiling where we have our own anxiety, self-imposed anxiety. And then because we have that anxiety, we don't know how to connect at work. We don't have good soft skills. And we get these promotions and we can't last because we done pissed half the people off. The other half of people scared to talk to us because they don't want to get sued or accused of something when they just asking a damn question. They're just trying to be friendly. And so there's a coldness that you probably do feel at that point. I'd be scared to talk to you too. And so here we are. This is what the spell has done. Okay, ESG. Okay, I'll tell you real quick. I'll show you real quick. Hold on. Okay. Gonna have a little bit of class real quick. Then I gotta go for real, y'all. There you go, Miss Clark. I had a colleague be snippy to me the other day in the office, but I didn't take it personally. He later apologized and explained his workload. Yeah, we have this strange perception that we're the only one with problems. That that our melanin causes us to be the only ones with problems. All right. And if somebody get attitude with us one day, we don't chalk it up to, hey, this man having a bad day. His wife probably didn't cuss him out. Kids ain't acting right. It's automatically because I'm Black. Right? So good for you, Miss Clark, by not taking it personally. A lot of people are stressed out in corporate right now. A lot of people are on edge right now. All right. ESG. Let's learn about ESG scores, y'all. How to tell if a company has high ESG scores. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. Scores are essential tools for investors to assess a company's sustainability and ethical performance. Those scores typically range from 0 to 100, with a score of less than 50 considered to be relatively poor, and more than 70 considered good. So I'll just do the key takeaways. ESG provides a score of a company's of environmental, social, and governance performance. Various criteria are used to evaluate companies on these three dimensions. Third-party ESG ratings offer different methodologies and scoring systems. ESG scores can be found online via brokerage platforms, financial portals, and rating agency websites. Investors use ESG to make informed investment decisions and assess the sustainability of a company's operation. So for environmental, that's how green you are, how much your company is environmentally friendly and does environmental initiatives. Social is diversity and inclusion. And governance is supporting. Oh, here we go. So what do ESG scores measure? Environmental issues, carbon footprint, energy efficiency, renewable energy usage, water usage, pollution, waste management, and biodiversity impact. Social issues, labor practices, pro-diversity efforts, human rights, community relations, health and safety, governance issues, board diversity and structure, executive compensation, shareholder rights, business ethics, risk management, supply chain management. Okay. And let's go down to how it translates to investments. What can an ESG score tell investors? Investors use ESG scores to make informed investment decisions, evaluate a company's long-term prospects, and assess the sustainability of its operations. High ESG scores indicate that a company is effectively managing environmental, social, and governance risks, which can lead to better financial performance and lower investment risks. Investors who are interested in socially responsible investing or who value ESG can use these scores to identify which potential investments are worthwhile and which should be avoided. So if we hire a whole bunch of sisters, qualified or not, our ESG score goes up and our investment score goes up. And then institutional investors will want to invest in our company and our share price goes up and we make more money. Now we'll discard them later when this is over, but for now, let's get these ESG scores up, shall we? The spell has you at everybody's mercy. They sure do. They sure do, Miss Clark. The auditors and regulators got everybody in chokehold. Yes, child. Yeah, it does that sometimes, Leah. I think it's because of the software I'm using. There you go. It's all about the bag. It's business. It's business. Even when they acting like they being nice to you, it's business. You are a business. You playing small is a business. You being scared of the world is a business. You not shining is a business. Your baby's not knowing math is a business. So that's the spell, y'all. I want you to think about that. How many people do you know that are under the spell? Are you under the spell? Did you used to be under the spell? How did you realize that you were under a spell and what broke you out of your spell? Snapped you out of the spell? Freed you from the spell? The conversations that you have, do they fuel the spell or not? The conversation that you have with your nieces and your nephews, the younger ones that you know, your kids, are you fueling the spell or not? Will people look at you and thank you for helping them break the spell? or not? Or will you have fueled the spell? Now, people are free to be under a spell. Okay, everybody's free to be under a spell. But do you feel good about fueling the spell? Ah, there we go. Aaliyah says, yes, the conversations have been fueling the spell, proves I need to change my circles. Yes, are your circles fueling the spell? Danny says she hope people wake up. Don't worry, don't worry. A lot of people are not going to. They don't want to. It's not fun to wake up. So if they want to stay asleep, they're free to do it. My concern is you. You don't stay asleep. And you don't fuel the spell. So that was what I wanted to share today. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope I gave you something to think about. Um, I hope if you are under the spell and you are ready to have a wonderful life and have fun and know that there's a wonderful world of people out there who some of them look like you, a lot of them don't, and they're awesome and they want to play and have fun and be friends. And maybe you should go meet them. Maybe you should break the spell and go meet you some new friends. Okay. You're welcome, ladies. All righty. That's it for me tonight. I need to get some rest. I'm acting like I don't have to homeschool in the morning. And I do. Y'all have a wonderful night. Send me some comments below if you're listening to this replay or if you come back and have more realizations. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right. Have a good one, ladies. Bye.